treated water at the Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Station. I'm Kotatsu Nishino, Director of Public Relations and Cultural Affairs Division of Consulate General of Japan in Hong Kong. Thank you very much for joining us today. Our MC today will be Professor Takashi Hibiki. He's the Chair Professor of Thermal Fluid Engineering, Department of Mechanical Engineering of City University of Hong Kong. Global STEM Professorship granted from Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, and Professor Emeritus School of Nuclear Engineering, Purdue University, USA. I'll pass the mic to Professor Hibiki. Professor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nishino. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Takashi Hibiki, and I am your MC today. This event is co-organized by the Asian Society and the Consulate General of Japan in Hong Kong. Everyone should have a set of presentation materials on hand. Please let our staff know if you do not. Besides that, you will find 3 cans of peach juice called Momo no Megumi, which is significant signature products of the Fukushima Prefecture. I hope you all like it. During the first half of the briefing, related agencies from the government of Japan and the TEPCO will give presentation in English. Then we'll have a 15 minutes break. After the break, we'll have a Q&A session with English, Japanese interpretation. Now, let us begin the program. Let us welcome Ambassador Okada Kenichi, Consulate General of Japan in Hong Kong, to deliver an opening remarks. Ambassador Okada, please.
Thank you, Professor Hibiki, for the kind introduction. Can you hear me well? Is microphone okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So, dear friends from the media of Hong Kong and Macau, good afternoon. Thank you so much for participating in this briefing organized by my consulate. I am Kenichi Okada, Consul General of Japan and Ambassador, which covers both Hong Kong and Macau. Thank you so much again for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here with us today. Thank you so much. And today's briefing is on the water treated by Advanced Liquid Processing System, which is called ALPS treated water. This year marks the 12th anniversary of the Great East Japan earthquake. Immediately after the disaster, Hong Kong government provided us with so many food, clothing, and other material assistances to the prefecture of Fukushima, Miyagi, and Iwate. Furthermore, people in Hong Kong and Macau were kind enough to write so many letters of sympathies and make donations and organized charity events. We clearly still remember those special kindness and friendship which was extended from the people in Macau and Hong Kong. So once again, on behalf of the Japanese government, I'd like to offer sincerest appreciation to the people in Hong Kong and Macau for such warm and encouraging assistance in such a challenging times. Thank you so much. In April 2011, the government of Japan announced the basic policy on the handling of the ALPS treated water. In strict compliance with international law and subject to the reviews by the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, Japan is going to discharge ALPS treated water into the sea from around this coming spring or summer. Actually, this discharge has been assessed by IAEA as being in line with international practice. And IAEA will also monitor this discharge before, during, and after the discharge. We understand that there is a high level of interest from the people in Hong Kong and Macau on these issues. At the same time, we also noted that some press report referred to ALPS treated water as contaminated water. So we are again keenly aware of the need to provide accurate information in a transparent manner with a lot of scientific evidence. I hope today's briefing will strengthen your understanding about the safety and handling of this ALPS treated water. After the disaster 12 years ago, 55 countries and regions all over the world introduced import control measures on Japanese food products. In Japan, we introduced thorough measures on the production stage, including the contamination of farmland and feed control. And furthermore, we established a system to prevent the distribution of any food products which fail to meet the food product safety. So the thorough safety has been sufficiently ensured in Japan by monitoring. Without confirming that there is no exceedance in terms of the food safety, any food product cannot be exported abroad. And actually, Japan's standard of food safety is stricter than international standards. And actually also, in any destination countries, inspections has not found any exceedance for the past 9 years. So in response to this Japan's effort, already 43 out of 55 countries and regions has lifted import control measures. Japan's stance to make sure that food safety is perfect is not wavering, even in relation to the discharge of ALPS-related water. That means there should be no negative impact on food safety, foodstuffs like agricultural product or fishery product after the discharge of ALPS-treated water. Because Hong Kong and Macau has been one of the most important export market for Japan's food products like agriculture and fishery products, and Japanese government believes the relations between Japan and Hong Kong and Japan and Macau is very, very important. So Japanese government, we are more than happy to offer as much information as possible so that people in Hong Kong and people in Macau can continue to enjoy Japanese food and Japanese restaurant without any apprehension. Today, we have lots of experts from Japan, from the Agency of Natural Resources and Energy, from the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fishery, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs and fishery agencies are present at this press briefing. And we are more than happy to answer any questions from you with high degree of transparency and a lot of scientific evidences, and most importantly, with the most sincerity. I hope all of you can stay here for the remainder of this session, and I hope this briefing will be of any help for you to understand better about the handling and the safety of ALPS treated water. Once again, thank you so much for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Okada. Before inviting our first speaker, please take a look at the introductory video on ALPS treated water prepared by the Tokyo Electric Power Company.
TEPCO Shorts, ALPS treated water. Number 1. What is ALPS treated water? Multinuclide removal equipment is commonly called ALPS, and it is used to remove radioactive materials. Various radioactive materials contained in contaminated water, other than tritium, are removed by adsorbing them sequentially in the connected filters. Water treated with ALPS is currently stored in tanks. This is ALPS treated water. Tritium, a radioactive material that exists as water and a relative of hydrogen, will remain after treatment with ALPS. But other radioactive materials can be removed to concentrations below the government regulations. We analyze the water treated with ALPS and make all the data available on TEPCO's website for everyone to see. TEPCO Shorts, ALPS treated water. Number 2. What about tritium that can't be removed with ALPS? Contaminated water containing various radioactive materials is purified until the concentrations of these radioactive materials fulfill government regulations, with the exception of tritium that cannot be removed by ALPS because it has the same properties as water. Water in storage that has been treated with ALPS but does not meet regulatory regulations will be re-purified until it does. Since tritium will remain in the water treated with ALPS, it will be diluted with a large amount of seawater, more than 100 times the quantity being diluted, so that tritium concentrations are reduced to less than 1,500 becquerels per liter. This is 1/40th of the government regulation for tritium concentrations in discharged water. Water that fulfills government regulations will then be discharged via an undersea tunnel. TEPCO Shorts, ALPS treated water. Number 3. How do you check the safety of the sea? We have been continually monitoring the sea since the accident in 2011 by measuring the concentrations of radioactive materials in the water. From 32 locations inside and outside the harbor, seawater is regularly sampled to measure the concentrations of cesium and tritium. From April 2022, we have strengthened tritium monitoring by increasing the number of measurement locations and the frequency of measurements. And we've strengthened not only the monitoring of seawater, but also of marine organisms, such as fish and seaweed. Monitoring results are available on TEPCO's website. Additionally, third parties confirm and assess the monitoring results.
I hope the videos has provided an idea on what ALPS treated water is to all of you. Next, let's invite Ms. Yuki Tanabe onto the stage. She is the Director for International Issues at the Nuclear Accident Response Office of Agency for Natural Resources and Energy, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI. She will share with us some basic concept and the progress on the discharge of ALPS treated water. Ms. Tanabe, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Yuki Tanabe from METI. Thank you very much for this opportunity today. First of all, I would like to invite your attention to the fact that reconstruction in Fukushima is progressing steadily. Industries, including fisheries, are also revitalized. Fish auction in Ukedo Fishery Harbor was resumed in 2020. People in Japan enjoy Fukushima food. We sometimes have promotion events and a lot of people come and enjoy. If you are interested, please look at a short video of Ukedo Fishery Harbor. I wrote the internet address in the left lower. The commissioning of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station is premise of reconstruction of Fukushima, which is continuous activity to gradually reduce the risk of radioactive materials to the surrounding area. The storage tanks of water exceeding 1,000 become an obstacle to secure a site for the planned decommissioning work. Therefore, it is necessary to properly discharge ALPS treated water into the sea in a safe way. However, I would like to emphasize that the discharge will not start until the Nuclear Regulatory Authority's inspections and the publication of the IAEA report. The important thing is that contaminated water is not going to be discharged. As you can see from the picture below, contaminated water becomes treated water by purification. There was a question I received beforehand regarding other options than discharging to the sea. There was over 6 years of discussion on handling of ALPS treated water with external experts. 5 options shown here were discussed. And it was concluded discharging into the sea is feasible based on precedent and practices, and it can be implemented reliably with proper monitoring. The IAEA reviewed this discussion and stated that it is based on sufficiently comprehensive analysis and on a sound scientific and technical basis. There was also a question regarding the radionuclides in the water to be discharged. Let me explain about ALPS treated water. By going through the system called ALPS, the water will be purified to meet the regulatory standards other than tritium. And tritium will be less than 1,500 becquerel per liter by dilution. And this 1,500 becquerel per liter is 1/40th of regulatory standard of tritium, and this is also 1/7 of WHO standards for drinking water. Next is about carbon-14. Radionuclides called carbon-14 in ALPS treated water is significantly less than the regulatory standard and the amount contained in the human body. Carbon-14 exists in the human body about 2,500 becquerel for a person weighing 60 kilograms. And the regulatory concentration limit in Japan is 2,000 becquerel per liter. And maximum concentration number in tanks is 215 becquerel per liter, and most of the water contains much less carbon-14. This is about tritium. As a relative of hydrogen, tritium exists in rain, sea, and tap water, as well as inside of our body. It is not accumulated in human body and is excreted together with water from the body. The annual amount of tritium to be discharged will be at a level below the operational limit of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station before the 2011 accident. It is lower than the ones of many nuclear facilities, both in Japan and abroad. The number is 22 trillion becquerel per year, and it is the government policy to keep the number below this 22 trillion becquerel per year. And you can see this number is significantly smaller than a reprocessing plant in France. This world map is about nuclear facilities in the world and discharge of tritium. And tritium is discharged in compliance with the laws and regulations of each country and region. The pink boxes represent the numbers of liquid tritium emission is greater than 22 trillion becquerel. As you can see, a lot of nuclear facilities discharge more tritium in East Asia than Fukushima. I will skip this slide. Tepuko is going to explain. And this is the result of the diffusion simulation of ALPS treated water. According to the diffusion simulation, the concentration of tritium will be almost the same as the level of the natural seawater after 3 kilometers from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. There were some questions regarding the impact of other countries. From this simulation, we think there will be no transboundary effect. The IAEA team also reviewed this simulation, the results of this simulation. Recently, there was also a simulation by Korean institution. It was in February this year. The conclusion was that the release of wastewater from Japan Fukushima nuclear power plant would have a negligible effect on South Korean waters. This slide will be also explained by Tepuko, so I will skip. Finally, there was some question about monitoring. Under the Comprehensive Radiation Monitoring Plan, the government of Japan has been conducting sea area monitoring since 2011. Samples of seawater, sediment, and marine biota are regularly collected and analyzed. The monitoring will also be monitored and reviewed by third parties, including the International Atomic Energy Agency. The results of the monitoring by the government of Japan is open to public on the website. Japan has been taking measures in strict compliance with international law and undergoing rigorous review by the IAEA. Japan will continue to do so in the future. I will skip the rest of the slides for the time constraint. I may use them when I answer to your more questions. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Ms. Tanabe. Next speaker is Mr. Sato Gaku. He's manager for Medium and Long-Term Planning Group, Project Management Office, Fukushima Daiichi D&D Engineering Company, Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings. He will share with us discharge of the ALPS treated water while securing safety. Mr. Sato, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Hibiki. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gaku Sato, and I'm from Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings. I will explain our current plan for discharging the ALPS treated water. This slide shows the 4 most crucial points when discussing about the safety of the ALPS treated water discharged to the ocean. In next slide, I will explain these in detail. Now skip the slide. Yes. This slide shows the simplified picture of this facility. Yes. In the upper left, you'll see 3 columns. Those columns represent tanks for the storage of ALPS treated water, etc. About 65% of water out of 1.3 million cubic meters stored is with higher concentrations of radioactive materials than the discharge standard. This water will be thoroughly purified by ALPS until the concentration becomes lower than the discharge standard. That is point number 1. There is another set of columns in the middle. This is the measurement and confirmation facility. This facility consists of 3 tank groups with agitators and circulation pumps, and it used to homogenize for sampling. 30 nucleus, including tritium, are to be measured and assessed if the concentration of 29 nuclei other than tritium are lower than the standard. If it fails, the water will send back for retreatment and will be never discharged without appropriate retreatment. This is number 2. Even after the ALPS treatment, tritium still remains in the water because this nuclide is very difficult to remove. This is why the dilution is necessary. By dilution, tritium concentration will become less than 1500 becquerel per liter. It's 1/7 of guidance level of WHO drinking water quality guideline. And just in case of any malfunction that hampers appropriate dilution or discharge, a set of emergency isolation valves are automatically and immediately closed to stop discharge. This is the number 3. As mentioned earlier, the concentration of tritium in the water discharge is reduced by 1500 becquerel per liter or lower by dilution, and the amount of limited up to 22 terabecquerel yearly. Those numbers were taken from the previous or current practices. This is the 4th point. I will go back to the slides. And this slide explains why and how the stagnant water, called contaminated water, is being generated. Since the accident in 2011, water has been injected into the reactor to cool the fuels. Since fuels were damaged and the radioactive materials were dispersed within the containment, radionuclides are dissolved in the water. This water is called stagnant water accumulating in those buildings. Due to the damage of the building, rainwater and the groundwater are coming in. These are mixed with the stagnant water and increasing the amount. To suppress the volume increase, the stagnant water is reused for coarse cooling, but still the excess is sent to ALPS and finally stored in tank. ALPS is designed and installed to remove 62 radionuclides in the stagnant water. This figure shows the trend of the concentration of cesium-137 at the inlet and the outlet of ALPS. Red dot and hollow circles indicate one at the inlet, and the other dots are at the outlet. And the blue dotted line shows the regulatory limit for cesium-137. By ALPS, the concentration is reduced by 4 to 6 order of magnitude, and it's well below the regulatory limit. Likewise, the other radionuclides can be removed appropriately by ALPS. Some of you might be interested in carbon-14. Carbon-14 is naturally occurring radionuclides and also discharged from nuclear fuel reprocessing plant worldwide. The amount of carbon-14 with ALPS treated water annually discharged is far less than those natural and artificial sources. In addition, while the Japanese regulatory concentration limit for discharge is 2,000 becquerel per liter, the maximum concentration confirmed in ALPS treated water is 215, and the busiest zone is 10 to 20 becquerel per liter, as you see. The concentrations become lower by the dilution and even lower in the sea after discharge. TEPCO conducted radiological environmental impact assessment following the method by internationally recognized entities such as the IAEA and ICRP. As a part of the assessment, dispersion calculations were conducted. The contoured figure on the left shows, on the right shows a result near the plant. The area with higher concentration than the one in the surrounding area shown in the dotted line is limited to the very vicinity of the plant, as you see. The further the distance is, the lower the concentration. If the distance is more than 2 to 3 kilometers away from the plant, the concentration is expected to be lower than the background tritium, and thus undetectable. The left one is showing the whole simulation area. Based on the result, the concentration at the model boundary is expected to be extremely low. Please note that the color indicating the concentration level in the left and the right figure differs. This slide shows the result of the dose assessment for a representative person, a hypothetical person influenced most by the discharge of ALPS-treated water, namely living near the plant, working in and on the sea, on the beach near the plant, and eating seafood caught only in the sea area in front of the plant. Even in the conservative case, the result well below the dose limit for general public of 1 millisieverts per year for the general public, and also 0.05 millisieverts per year of dose constraint. This sea area monitoring program is also enhanced. Since April 2022, monitoring of radioactivity, including tritium, in the vicinity of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station and along the coast of Fukushima Prefecture has been enhanced and expanded. The result of the measurement is available on the TEPCO website, which appears in English, Chinese, and Korean. And IAEA has been reviewing our initiatives. International experts accompanied with IAEA officials visited Tokyo and our plant. The mission is to review and evaluate our initiative in terms of safety. The first mission was conducted in February 2022, and the report is available on IAEA's website. The second mission was conducted last November, and the review results are expected to be released shortly. IAEA also has a plan of collaborative analysis mission in which IAEA, along with some selected laboratories in the world, analyze samples of ALPS treated water. Furthermore, the IAEA labs, international labs, the Japanese regulator, and some domestic labs jointly collected seawater, sea sediment, and marine creature samples, and will compare the analysis result from each laboratories. All the results will be published on the IAEA website. This slide shows what TEPCO is publicizing the discharge of the ALPS treated water on the website. Treated water portal site was set up to compile information such as short movies. The portal site is explained in Japanese, English, simplified Chinese, traditional Cantonese, traditional Taiwanese, and Korean. This slide explains the status of the marine organism rearing tests that we have been conducting. One group is rearing in regular seawater, and the other is in seawater with ALPS treated water added. By now, no significant difference between the two groups has not been observed. We studied the treatment concentration in the body of flatfish in seawater with ALPS treated water. The concentration has never exceeded 1 in the water. The result is consistent with what is generally known. Thus, TEPCO is making its utmost effort to securing safety of ALPS treated water discharge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sado. Next speaker is Dr. Hideshi Michino. He is a counselor of Export and International Affairs Group, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery, MEF. He will share with us the current status of Japanese food regarding radionuclides. Dr. Michino, please.
Thank you, Dr. Hibiki. I'm Hideshi Michino, Deputy Assistant Minister, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Japan. Today, I would like to deliver a presentation on the current status of Japanese food regarding radionuclide following the accident of the TEPCO Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station in 2011 in the question and answer format. The first question is, how much food product is exported to Hong Kong from Japan? The answer is 15.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. The value of food export from Japan to Hong Kong has been increasing in the past 10 years, reaching a record high in 2021. The second question is how much food product is exported to Macau from Japan? The answer is 3.75 billion Macau bataka in 2021. The value of food export from Japan to Macau has also been increasing in the past 10 years, reaching a record high in 2021. The third question is, how do we control radionuclide in food production? The answer is, Japan, soon after the accident, started the control measures of radionuclide in primary production, the food processing, and the food distribution stages. At the production stages, wide-ranging efforts are made, such as decontamination of farmland and fruit trees, control of feed, and fertilization of crop with potassium to block the absorption of radiocesium. Next is, how can we prevent the exploitation of product exceeding the Japanese maximum levels to consumers? The answer is, food monitoring and the shipment restriction prevent the product exceeding the Japanese maximum level from entering from food chain and being exported. The government conducts monitoring at the production stage. If a value exceeding the Japanese maximum level is detected in sample, the food shall be disposed of, and further shipment of the food from the same area are restricted. Therefore, products with radioactive concentration exceeding the maximum level are neither distributed domestically nor exported. Next is, how do we keep transparency and communicate with the public on the risk of radionuclide in food? Radionuclide concentration in food has been monitored since 19th March 2011. The national government opened to public all of the monitoring data and publishes the FAQ on food and radiation both in Japanese and in English. The radiological risk from food intake has been regularly communicated with the public. These are the view of risk communication at the university in Japan and Consulate General of Japan in Hong Kong provides concise information. Next is, what are the latest monitoring results in Japan? This shows the result of monitoring on radiocesium in major items in 2022. These are agricultural produce and major fishery harvests and processed food for wider areas distribution, which could become a commodity for export. More than 22,000 samples have been tested, and all results are below the Japanese maximum levels. That is 10 times stricter than Hong Kong and the international standard. Next is there any third-party evaluation of Japan's measures? The joint FAO IAEA Center states Japan's measures to monitor and respond to issues regarding radionuclide contamination of food are appropriate, and that the food supply chain is controlled effectively by relevant authorities and that the public food supply is safe. Next question is, how many countries and regions lifted or remained import measures on Japanese food. A total of 55 countries and regions have introduced import measures on Japanese food following the nuclear power station accident, and nearly 80% of them, 43, have eliminated the measures. This is the last slide. This shows conclusions of my presentation. Scientific evidence indicates the health risk of radionuclide in food from Japan is negligible to both the people in Japan and in foreign countries. Majority of the countries in the world have no relevant import control measures on food from Japan, including those lifted them in the past decade. The ALPS treated water is to be discharged under the control of the government, ensuring safety of the marine environment and seafood with high transparency. We request support of the audience to disseminate information based on sound fact and science. We expect that people in the disaster area need strong support from Hong Kong and Macau to recover their lives and honors. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Michino. Next speaker is Mr. Hiroyasu Hasegawa. He is the Director of Research and Technological Guidance Division, Fisheries Agency. He will share with us monitoring of seafood related to the discharge of ALPS-treated water. Mr. Hasegawa, please.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Thank you, Professor Hibiki. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Hiroyasu Hasegawa, and I am in charge of monitoring radioactive substances in seafood at the Fisheries Agency. The title of the presentation is Monitoring of Seafood Related to the Discharge of ALPS-treated water. We have been monitoring radioactive substances in seafood since immediately after the nuclear accident. Among them, I'd like to first introduce the results in Fukushima Prefecture, which was mostly affected by the accident. First, I'd like to talk about the radioactive cesium monitoring conducted by the Fukushima Prefectural government. From April 2011 to the end of February 2023, a total of 75,125 samples were monitored, and 3,499 samples were monitored as of this fiscal year. In the graph, orange indicates samples exceeding the Japanese maximum level of 100 becquerel per kilogram, and blue indicates those below the level. Immediately after the accident, about 1/3 of samples exceeded the Japanese maximum level. However, due to the rapid decrease in the concentration of radiocesium in seawater, almost all the seafoods are now within the Japanese maximum level. This slide shows the transition of radioactive cesium concentrations in seafoods from Fukushima Prefecture in past 12 years. Immediately after the accident, the values plotted in blue were high, but over time they have decreased, and these days most samples are below the detection limit, and only a few samples are above the detection limit. In addition, the commercial fisher in Fukushima Prefecture voluntarily monitor by taking samples from all fish species landed each time. Therefore, the number of samples is increasing with increasing landings, reaching more than 18,000 samples in 2022. Only one kurosoi, a kind of rockfish, exceeded the Japanese maximum level, and shipments are still suspended. Next, I'll give an overview of tritium monitoring in fiscal 2022. As Tanabe-san explained earlier, the safety of ALPS treated water is guaranteed. On the other hand, at the time of the nuclear accident in 2011, adverse impact on reputation spread to areas far from Fukushima, even though there were no safety problems. Therefore, the purpose of this monitoring is to prevent such a situation from occurring. And we analyze seafoods taken in the fishery and aquaculture industries among the coast and offshore of the Pacific Ocean side of the eastern Japan. The fish species to be analyzed are flounder, which is a major fish species on the coast, which is common to each region. And the other are representative seafoods of each region. Tritium analysis is conducted based on internationally recognized methods. In addition, fiscal 2023, we plan to introduce a method to quickly produce analysis results. As of the end of February this year, the analysis of 194 samples has been completed, and the results are published on the website of the Fishery Agency and updated. On the left are the results of the analysis of seafoods for this fiscal year, and on the right side are the results of the analysis of seawater in the coast and offshore of the Pacific Ocean side of the eastern Japan. You can see that the concentration of tissue-free tritium in seafoods and the concentration of tritium in seawater are about the same. Is it a little early for dinner time? And this photo was taken at the sushi restaurant in Iwaki City, about 40 kilometers south of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. All the sushi on the plate is caught off the coast of Fukushima. I love the fish called mehikari on the top right, this one, on the plate. But mehikari loses its freshness quickly, so sushi can only be eaten locally. I would like everyone gathered today to visit Fukushima and enjoy delicious fish. That's it for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hasegawa. The last speaker is Mr. Shinichi Sato. He is Director of International Nuclear Cooperation Division, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MOFA. He will share with us communication with the international community regarding the handling of ALPS treated water. Mr. Sato, please. We cannot hear you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sato. I'm Director of International Nuclear Cooperation. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. I would love to be there in Hong Kong with all of you, but unfortunately I couldn't make the trip. this time, but I'm very grateful for this invitation to participate in this meeting personally. My brief presentation of today consists of 4 pillars. First is our commitment on this issue, of the treated water issue, and the second is communication, and the third is the role of the IAEA, and lastly, I would like to briefly talk about our message on this issue. So, firstly, I'd like to talk about our commitment. Next slide, please. Next slide. Our commitment. Sorry. Sorry, it seems that we have some minor technical problems here in Tokyo, so if you allow me, I will continue talking without moving my presentation on PowerPoint. So as I said, that the brief presentation consists of 4 pillars, and I'd like to also, first I'd like to talk about our commitment. Our commitment is that we have 4 important concepts. First is safety, the second is transparency, the third is accountability, and lastly, confidence. I think that these 4 concepts are very important because first of all, we want to show, and we are showing, and will be showing, that the ultimate discharge of ALPS treated water will be safe, will be discharged into the sea after ensuring that there is no harm to the environment or human health. And also, we understand perfectly the importance of making you feel safe with this discharge of ALPS treated water. That's the reason why we are, or we have been, explaining the issue to the international community in a highly transparent manner, based on scientific evidence, while continuing to undergo reviews by the IAEA, and will continue to do so in the future. And in that sense, we are very grateful for this opportunity because thanks to you, we have a very precious opportunity to talk to the people, our friends in Hong Kong and Macau this way. As for the communication, we have been carrying out a lot of briefing sessions here in Tokyo to the diplomatic corps and media stationed here in Tokyo. And also, we are organizing brief sessions with bilateral briefing sessions with countries which show interest in this issue. And also, as I said, that we are doing this operation, this operation, counting on the help of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and also we are we always, whenever we receive a request from media, not only the domestic Japanese media, but also from the media from different countries, we are all open to share all the information that the media requires. And so I think the Hong Kong, as I said, this opportunity is very important for us to first talk with our friends in Hong Kong and Macau and to deepen our mutual understanding of this issue. And of course, whenever we receive some questions or requests from the citizens in Hong Kong and Macau, we always answer it with transparency and with professionalism. And also, our communication with the local media is very important. So whenever we have this kind of opportunity, we'll be very glad to repeat this kind of exchange sessions. And the third pillar of my presentation is about the importance of the IAEA. As you know, IAEA is International Authority on Nuclear Safety Standards. And on this issue of discharge of ALPS treated water from Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, the Director General Grossi of the IAEA said that the discharge of the processed water will be in full conformity with international standards. And we have received many visits, technical visits from Vienna, technical visits of IAEA from Vienna, and those visits check the safety aspects as well as regulatory aspects in Japan. And so far, they are very happy with what we have been achieving. We hope that we will continue working with the IAEA very closely, and we believe that the close cooperation with the IAEA will help us to deepen the understanding of the international community, including Hong Kong and Macau. And now, finally, I'd like to deliver our message to you. First, we are talking about the ALPS treated water. Sometimes, as my colleagues previously explained, sometimes we see articles or words saying that the instead of ALPS treated water, says contaminated water, but it's not contaminated water. The radioactive concentration of the water plant discharge into the sea, or that is ALPS treated water, is far below the regulatory standard. And second point that I want to say, the second message from us is that the release of water containing tritium from nuclear facilities is common practice all over the world, in compliance, of course, in compliance with their own domestic laws and regulations. And the third message is that misinformation or disinformation is causing reputational damage and adversely affecting the lives of people in Fukushima. We would like to ask you to help us in the reconstruction of Fukushima. So now the question is, if ALPS treated water is safe, what are the local people afraid of? The local people are afraid of rumors of reputational damages which are caused and which are not based upon scientific fact. And as I said, that kind of rumors, unfounded rumors, only serve to affect negatively their livelihood and future. The final message from me is that we really appreciate, we are very grateful for the continuous support from Hong Kong and Macau in the whole process of whole reconstruction process of the affected area from the great earthquake in 2011. And we know that Hong Kong and Macau are very important partners for reconstruction from the great earthquake in 2011. And we will continue providing information for our friends in Hong Kong and Macau in transparent manner and timely manner. We are facing a very difficult challenge, but we also believe the concept of bending adversity. Whenever we face difficulties, instead of giving up, we will do our best. But we can't achieve this difficult. We can't achieve or we can't overcome this difficult task without help of our friends. And so we would like to continue counting on the help and understanding from the people, friends of Hong Kong and Macau. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and I'm very sorry for technical problems that have occurred here in Tokyo. But thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sato, in spite of minor technical problem. Now we are going to have a 10 minutes coffee break. There is coffee, tea, and snack outside the theater nearby the restroom. Please feel free to enjoy them. We are going to start the second part of the media briefing at 3:25. Thank you very much.
而家有15